Tony, look, so much to talk about. I want to talk about what happened at Sheffield. Look, we were both there. Crazy night of boxing. But first, let's start with the breaking news. WBC have had their convention today. We've all been waiting with bated breaths about the opportunities for Dillian Whyte. We thought that the WBC were going to mandate Tyson Fury to defend his WBC heavyweight strap against Dillian Whyte, who's waiting for world title shot. We know now for a few years. They haven't done that. He's not mandatory yet. They said, they're still going through some legal issues with Dillian Whyte. So as it stands right now, Tyson Fury isn't mandated to fight Dillian Whyte. That's what we thought we were going to get. Look, we spoke to Dillian Whyte a couple of weeks ago when we last saw him at the Chantel Cameron Mary McGee fight. What do you make of this WBC ruling, and how will Dillian Whyte be feeling tonight?
Yeah, I think Dillian will not be surprised. I think he'll be sitting there a little bit angry. The fact that he's gone in there last time out and everything that's been promised has not been delivered. So he'll wait. He'll sit there and wait. He's got a good legal team around him. He's got the best promoter in the game at his side. So he'll just wait. He'll sit patiently and he'll wait for this chance. He knows he's going to get it. It's inevitable. The fighters he's fought and the people he's beaten, he's going to get it. So he'll just sit and wait.
Yeah, let's hope the WBC do the right thing here. And let's hope once they go through this legal situation with Dillian Whyte that they do make Tyson Fury versus Dillian Whyte. And British fans, let's hope that the fight is in the UK. There's a big stadium in Manchester, Old Trafford. Tyson Fury is a Manchester United fan. I think that'll be perfect as a homecoming for Tyson Fury. Let's hope they do that. Some other breaking news, disappointing news, I guess, for British fight fans is that Joshua BUATSI will be out of his fight against MAXIM Vlasov. He announced today on his social medias that he's hurt his hand. It's a disappointing one, but the card still obviously is very, very thick. I'm still very interested in it, and everyone should be. We still got Chisora versus Parker. We've got Gongoro versus Lerone Richards as well for the IBO super middleweight strap, and super middleweight division, a thriving one right now. So fingers crossed everyone else stays fit on that card and there are no more injuries, because we don't want anything else off that card. Talking about cards, nothing more exciting, for a long time in British boxing than what happened in Sheffield on the weekend. I don't even know where to start. Let's start at the co-main event, Baumgardner versus Terri Harper. I mean, you could hear a pin drop when that fight got stopped. And I have to be honest with you, Tone, I was waiting for the first 30 seconds of that fight. I was waiting to see if Baumgardner was a bit like Mary McGee, maybe, tough, a bit crude, or was she like Jamie Mitchell, who fought Shannon Courtney? Was she a really technically good boxer? And to be honest, she was a bit of both. I knew from the first 30 seconds that this was going to be a very, very tough fight for Terri Harper.
Baumgardner came out full of confidence. She had a slick style. She wasn't wary about what was coming back. She had a low lead left hand and just let it flow. Everything was just flowing really quick. I thought she won the first 3 rounds, in my opinion. She just looked the more relaxed of the two. And to be fair, it's to be expected. Terri Harper's been out the ring a while. She was a little bit nervous, a little bit edgy. And then just as I thought she was finding her feet and starting to find a way in this fight, bam, this shot lands, and no one's seen that coming. Nobody in boxing seen that coming. The only person that did see it coming was Mark Lyson, and he was a fantastic referee who saved Terri Harper on Saturday night. He really did, because when that shot lands, that's where the damage is done already. She's out on her feet, she's asleep, but she's still standing up. And Mark Lyson jumps in, puts himself at risk, and takes the brunt of the left hook that's coming towards Terri Harper from Baumgardner. And if he doesn't take the brunt of that, then Terri Harper gets knocked out viciously, and that's where the damage is suffered. It's the punch that you can't brace for. That's the punch that does the damage in boxing. The punch you don't see, the punch you do not feel, and the one you can't brace for. That's the one that does this true damage in boxing. So, he done amazing, Mark Lyson, on Saturday night. I can't credit that guy enough.
That's strange. Like, one thing we've maybe criticised sort of female boxing from, and certainly not myself, because I still think technically we've seen some really good fights. One thing we haven't really seen is a lot of knockouts. And I think, there's some really good, hard-hitting female fighters out there. Savannah Marshall springs to mind as someone that can really crack.
Yes.
Baumgardner looks like she's got power in both hands. And you're right, that left hook would have done massive damage, and she's a star for me. She talks well, she's very arrogant, very confident. I think that's a good thing, by the way. Sometimes you're a bit like that, Tony, a bit arrogant, a bit confident. She's got a bit of you in her as well, and I think she's a problem at not just 130, Michaela Meyer and maybe Choi, 135. I can see a fight potentially between her and Katie Taylor sometime next year if Katie Taylor still sticks at 135.
Well, people forget, Eddie, this girl's fought 2 weight divisions up, so the power is quite obvious. When she's came down, she's brought the power with her. So, you know, it didn't surprise me with the power. I mean, the knockout she provided, that did surprise me. Definitely, I'm not going to lie. But it didn't surprise me how strong she was. When I seen that she came down 2 weight divisions, I thought she's going to be able to crack. I didn't think she was going to stop Terry, but she pulled it out the bag. She was fantastic on the night. She was a better fighter. And that's what we get when you get into a boxing ring.
You know, crowd were just about getting over that, right? They're just, you could see it, like you say, it went silent in there and the murmurs started going around. You know, okay, Kid Galahad walks out and they're thinking, okay, look, it happened once, it ain't gonna happen again. And then again, KIKO Martinez pulled out a right hand from God, like, right? It was a ridiculous right hand. I mean, I thought the fight was gonna be over in the first round. And then bang, in the 6th round as well, he lands exactly the same shot. And I mean, there's been upsets in the British boxing ring. There's been loads of upsets, but that's almost Amir Khan, Bradis Prescott level. I never expected that. I already had my notes down about the interview I was going to give with Kid Galahad after the fight. I was like, okay, Kid, I'm going to ask you about Navarrete. I'm going to ask you about Josh Warrington. And then boom, KIKO Martinez becomes one of the Spanish all-time fighters with fantastic knockout of Kid Galahad, who's looked amazing of recent. What a surprise.
The Spanish legend throws a spanner in the works. That's what he does. And he, you know, it was literally a punch from nowhere, Addy. You know, no one's seen that coming. Barry Awad was winning every second of every round. But you know what? Darren Barker touched on it a little bit earlier in the fight, and he said, you cannot keep going back with your chin in the air. Now, it was a former Ingle fighter, the Don Kid, who I watched earlier on the card. And he was in a really good fight, and he bosses the fight, but his chin was so high up in the air all night long. And I thought, wow, if he fights a puncher, it's the Ingle way. They've always done it, Addy. It's the Ingle style, and you just can't afford to. It's very few Ingle fighters who will, once they're getting up close or once they pull out of a fight, they pull out with the chin tucked down. The only fighter I can think off the top of my head from the Ingle stable who pulled out of, you know, furious trades with his chin down was Kell Brook. Outside of Kell Brook, every other Ingle fighter pulled out with his chin in the air like this. And it's just inviting them to get clocked. And that's what happened to Barry Awad on Saturday night. He came out of the clinch and he just gets clipped. And do you know, by being brutally honest, he should never have been allowed out for the 6th round. He's completely gone when he goes back at the end of the 5th. He should not have been allowed out. That's my opinion. I'm going to stand by it. I thought it was very dangerous to let him out and very naive because he was in a bad way at the end of that 5th round. He really, really was. And it's worrying, it really is. And people are having a pop at me for saying I think it's the weight that's done this to him. It's been coming for a while. Every time I've seen him on the scales in the last 4 or 5 fights, he's looked horrendous on the scales. And when he got on the scales against KIKO Martinez, he looked horrendous again. There's only so many times you can keep doing this to your body. I'm not saying this because I have an agenda or an opinion about anyone or anything. I've been there. I used to make light heavyweight and I used to absolutely pull my body to pieces. I'd do it and it would absolutely kill me. I'm speaking from experience, Addy. He looks how I used to look at light heavyweight getting on scales. It's not good for you.
Is it, could there potentially, very quickly on this one, Tone, I mean, look, he does cut around 20 pounds, which is ridiculous. Like a couple of days
considering the weight he's fighting at, Addy, that's huge.
Drastically release it.
He has to live in and amongst the weight, and that's easier said than done. That is so hard for a fighter to do, especially, as I say, cutting 20 pounds. I predicted he will have cut 10 pounds on the day of the weigh-in. I will have predicted he will have lost 4 to 5 pounds on the day of the fight just to make the 10 pound limit, maybe more. On the day of the fight, I'd 4 to 5 pounds in hot baths or a bit of skipping. He's the ultimate professional, Barry Awad, the ultimate pro. I cannot knock him in any way, shape or form. He's a brilliant professional. He needs the people who are around him, the fellow other professionals, to deal with these, you know, situations that he's being put in, because that was dangerous on Saturday night and his health should have been put first. He shouldn't have been allowed out for that 6th round. That's a nasty knockout that he you know, took.